bands or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't have full steel. He's got longer, shaggier hair. And he's got a kind of a dumb looking face as a kid. And
yeah, it's very simple.
So the party is interrupted when.
So let's just describe each of the Thors.
Oh, okay. So we just described the young Thor, kind of a dopey looking young guy.
Yeah. And then present day Thor. He's got like the whole costume.
Yeah, he looks good.
He's got a helmet with like wings on the helmet, and he's got a cape, and he's got like metal plated armor, and he's more buff, I guess.
Like, yeah, he looks put together.
I mean, it's not like original Thor or young Thor wasn't buff, but this Thor, like, you can see his six-pack much more defined, and he's more like ripped, I guess. I don't know.
There's two panels in this that really describe the Thors, the young Thor and the old Thor. The first one is when young Thor is looking down at the face of the decapitated god that washes ashore. His face,
I mean, he's like a Native American god.
Yeah, his face looks so like he gives it all away. Mm-hmm. Like, boom.
Oh.
And then this Thor looks
like he's got some emotion to him.
Yeah, this Thor looks all confidence. He is absolutely confident in what he's bringing to these poor people who have not had rain for hundreds of years.
He's like, yeah, I'm the most powerful god or whatever. Yeah. He has super confidence.
He has super confidence. Not to say that young Thor doesn't have super confidence, but
it's more of what he is.
Yeah, the writing kind of pulls back in a way that he is just like, like he is.
He's more serious, I guess. Like, young Thor seems more like fun-loving, like having a good time with the battle. And this Thor, like, he's scowling when he's talking with these aliens a little bit, that they doubted him.
Right.
You know, it's like, because there's one alien who, like, doesn't believe in the gods, and he's like, you doubted me, like, he's angry.
Right.
Young Thor doesn't look like he gets angry.
Yeah, young Thor is just there to have some fun. And then we meet old Thor.
Old Thor.
And old Thor is,
haggard.
And I'm trying to get to the page
He
here.
kind of reminded me of, or like, he's still super, super strong looking. He has more metal armor, like his whole left side is like all metaled up. Like, I don't know if he like lost his arm or something.
He has lost his arm because in the first panel when we meet him, he doesn't have his arm. He asked his servants to bring his arm, and then he realized that he doesn't have servants anymore, and that he's on his own. He gets his arm and calls for the hammer and meets the demon dogs that are the worker bees of this God Butcher.
So I didn't so he just summoned his hand?
I can't remember how he gets his hand.
Looks like all of a sudden he just he's like, bring me my arm, and then he has his arm. I guess.
And then he has his arm.
But that arm wields the hammer. And he has a sword now too.
Yeah, he's got one sword, and he's got a sword in his right hand and the hammer in his left hand, and he's got an eye patch and
he's almost all shielded up except for his right arm and his head.
Yeah. So he's old. He's got white hair,
I think he's thicker too than all the other.
Oh yeah. So he is aged, but he is still down to battle.
Mm-hmm. I like that there's a panel where he's like stand poised ready for battle, and with like the hammer forward and the sword drawn back, but I like he has a cape, or like a big red cape, but then he also has like a waist cape.
Oh, that is cool.
And it looks really cool, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah. It's just a waist cape.
It's like a second cape. Just to look extra cool. And it does.
It does. It works. And it's all blown in the wind. It looks badass. This art is great, and Thor is a badass here. Badass old guy, long shaggy hair.
So which Thor do you think looks the best? Or do you like the best looking?
Well, the Thor that I know the most is Middle Thor. But now that I'm really spending some time with this old Thor, he looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think I like the look of old Thor the best.
Yeah, he's got that middle cape really works. It's cool.
Yeah, whatever that middle cape. I mean, I guess Middle Thor kind of has like it's not really a cape, but it's like something like a loose shirt hanging. But, yeah, it's not that second cape. And young Thor doesn't even have a cape.
Yeah, he's just...
Because he can't fly. He doesn't have the hammer.
Yeah, you don't need anything. I'm looking at that picture of young Thor sort of looking down at the decapitated head. All right, so what's the story here, James? Because we have 3 Thors, different timelines.
All working on the same problem.
And what's that problem?
Gods are disappearing. They're dying.
Gods are disappearing, and in the first one, when we first see this at this Norway party that's been broken up by God that's been butchered, has floated ashore.
They don't know it's a god right away, but that's like what they figure out.
Yeah, these gods can recognize one another, and Thor sees this as like, oh wow, this ain't good news.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool that it was the head of a Native American god, and it floated all the way over there.
Yeah, this is a cool comic. But Thor brushes this one off as as a one-off.
It's like, things happen.
Things happen, and then older or middle Thor, when he is summoned to this planet that hasn't had water for years, somebody has prayed to him, and he brings, he's the god of thunder, so he can crack a boom and
bring a little,
and get the rain going.
But then he starts questioning. He's like, "Hey, where are your guys' gods?" And they're like, "We don't have any gods." And he's like, "That's weird. Every planet has gods." So he does a little investigating, and he remembers this, does he remember the past first, or does he find the slain gods? That's one of my favorite panels, is the him entering the hall of the slain gods.
Oh, look how big look how big they are. They're huge. So
and they were interesting choices of what their gods were. They were very negative.
Yeah, so Thor flies out to space to find where their heaven is, and goes into the hall of this planet's gods and discovers all of them have been killed in massively brutal ways. And this is kind of cool, the way that the writing is here, that they've been dead for hundreds or thousands of years, but because they are gods, they don't decay the way human flesh does, so they're still there.
Yeah, hanging from meat hooks.
Oh, it's gruesome. This one panel of tiny Thor looking up at these huge gods hanging from meat hooks, and then
it's a single shot.
Yeah, he starts to piece together that this was...
The god only has 1 foot.
Yeah, they were brutally slain, and he starts to piece together how this could have happened. How who could do this?
Mm-hmm.
He does
when he gets attacked by he calls it the watchdog of whoever killed him.
Right.
And that is kind of a clue.
I'm forgetting the clue.
Or no, he's like, oh, these whoever's guard that, who the bad guy is. This is the guard dog.
Oh, right.
And he's like, I remember a day a millennium ago, a dead god floating in the sea. I know who did this. He kind of, I guess maybe he recognizes maybe I didn't really get that. I guess I thought he had recognized the guard dog, but maybe not.
Well,
it was at that point he realized.
Yeah, so he must have some inkling of who this person is, and he battles this guy. We're not sure how this battle ends, because the next panel opens in the way future, and we see old Thor.
Oh, Thor.
Waiting on Asgard.
It kind of reminded me, this cut to his empty palace it kind of reminded me of in the Lord of the Rings, that old king the one who kept getting like whispered to.
Yeah. I
that
kept
like throne room where it's like empty and quiet and cold, and he's leaning and he's got the long hair flowing in front of his eyes.
I kept seeing like the 80s version of Conan, like bored in his in his throne room.
That's a good one.
At the end of the original Conan. But this is not the end. This is only the beginning, because old Thor, puts up arms against this.
It looks like a giant army
Of these demon dogs, and wow,
they're
boy,
right
that
at
does.
his doorstep.
And it's to be continued. What a great ending, and what a great beginning.
To the issue. Yes.
It's a beginning. It's not an ending. It's like to be continued.
Exactly. So we get hooks from each of the 3 time periods. You know, we get a hook of old Thor about to be in this giant battle, medium Thor, present day Thor, in a very similar type of battle, and young Thor. Where did we leave young Thor?
Young Thor was brushing off this scene, this terribleness, to go back and enjoy the party, and maybe just sort of filing away what the future might lay. Like what could be in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess his hook is like the mystery of that first god who died.
Yeah, and like I said, like that I'm not describing it very well, but like that one scene of him looking down on that decapitated head, and he sees that, and the look on his face tells you that he has horror, mystery, shock, like so much stuff going on, but he puts on a brave face. And you see that in the next panel of him, like, let's just push away. Oh, there might even be another little bit of a panel of a woman, like she's she's praying, and he's like, "What are you praying for?" or whatever, and like they have a back and forth there. And he has some comment about
he's like, "What gods do you pray to?" She's like, "All of them."
Yeah.
That seems like it'd take a long time.
All right, James. So, let's talk about this art really fast, because, like, I thought this art was just...
We talked about the character, and I think that's a huge part of the art. But,
favorite panel?
And the favorite panel was the full page of the gods hanging from the meat hooks for me.
Yeah, mine too. Like, that is just epic. They're so,
it almost could have been I could see it being the cover of the second issue.
Yeah, it is so gory, and just so, like, and they're gray, and, like, they have, like, these, like, tribal costumes on. Ugh, so good.
Thor standing in front of them, yeah.
Thor's costume's pretty badass.
I
Right
agree.
on. Yeah, this is great art, and, like, the expressions on Thor's face, you know.
It almost, it's kind of riding that edge of, hand-drawn versus computer-made.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like as glossy as some of the super, like, computer-made superhero stuff, but it's got a little gloss to it.
Yeah, so somebody's put in some, like, filters or something to make it really, like, stand out and pop, or, you know, like, just, you know, like, it does have a computer edge to it, you're right.
But it's not
but
nearly as computery as, like, as a lot of other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, so it doesn't take away from it. It's great art. I think it's great. So James,
and I think it fits, because like I almost think superheroes should be a little glossy, or maybe Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, with like that sheen of like light off of their armor, and like when he like he can command his hammer to light up and give him ambient light so he can see what he's looking, so he can see what he's investigating. I think it's great. James, did we find